welcome to this week's edition of the program Issues of the Moment on MBS TV. First, I'd like to say compliment of the season. Of course, tomorrow is Christmas. And my name is Gospa Ede, your host on the program. Today, we'll be talking about a very important topic. Before then, I have very important guests in the studio talking about State Coordinators of African Activists for Climate Justice, Mr. Ango Adamu. He is also the Executive Secretary, YMCA Mother Hills. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
All right. Also on the program is Mr. Joshua Jonathan, the National President, ASAPIN, Association of Small-Scale Agro-Producers in Nigeria. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you and happy Christmas.
All right. We are talking about the review of AACJ project in the year 2022 in Nasarawa State. AACJ is African Activists for Climate Justice. It is an organization that has been championing the campaign against impact of climate change in the society and how to mitigate it. You know, this organization has been on this for almost a year, and so as the year winds out, we'd like to review how far they have gone in carrying out this very, very important assignment that has been saddled on them. And that is the issue we are looking at today. I would like to go into the discussion proper, and let me begin with Mr. Ango. Like we all know, issue of climate change remains one of the most dominant topical issue in the year 2022. Right in the studio, it has been on and all over the place. Not only AACJ that are running the project, there are so many other NGOs. But let us look at how you, as an organization, AACJ, has fared so far in this 2022 in terms of this campaign.
Well, first of all, I want to sincerely start this way by thanking Oxfam in Nigeria, thanking African Activists for Climate Justice Project, which is being supported by the Ministry of External Affairs, Netherlands, to Africa. And in this project, 8 African countries are implementing this project. For us in Nigeria, I think we have about 8 or 9 states that are implementing the African Activists for Climate Justice project in different capacities. But for us down here in Nasarawa State, YMCA and ASAPIN are implementing the Pathway 4, which is about sensitizing communities, making them becoming aware of effect of climate change and how local solutions can be used, you know, to mitigate climate change. So for those of us who are joining us for the first time in our last edition for 2022, we are just here to reflect how far we have gone, where we need to improve, and what we intend to implement by the year 2023. So we are very grateful to the people of Nasarawa State for the cordial relationship we have enjoyed, especially with the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Agri, NGOs, communities, and individuals, stakeholders who have participated in this project. We have done so well, but we are not the only organization implementing climate change issues. So for us as YMCA and ASAPIN, we've played our own part, and that is why we are here to reflect today.
All right. You said you have done so well. It appears you are so confident that the project has been so successful. Anyway, I will get back to you on that. Let's hear from Mr. Joshua Jonathan. You heard from your colleague, your partner.
Yeah.
Let us hear from your own side. How have you seen the implementation of this project so far in the year under review?
Well, I think from the perception that Mr. Ango have mentioned, doing so well, it means we have implemented to the best of our ability and the best of our knowledge on what we are able to deliver.
Okay.
The project has come for our budget, our plans for the year. I think we have done almost all what we have planned to do for the year. And I think the response also is giving us that grace, that confidence that something has gone out and people are thinking and making use of it.
Okay.
Let me just give you the example. When you speak in the class to children and students, you know, they respond. They'll be able to tell you whether they have guessed something or not.
Definitely.
And that is exactly, we are also evaluating our audience, our stakeholder, to see whether they have learned something from what we are passing as a part of the implementation of this project in the state.
Okay.
And I think with that, what I'm going to say we have done well, I think we have get a pass mark in terms of implementation. And even the feedback we are getting from the people, like the stakeholder he mentioned, the Ministry of Agri, the Ministry of Environment, the Civil Society of Nigeria, new organizations who participated in this program, especially the community. I think they learn a lot because as I told before now, a lot of people doesn't know that they can take action on their own way, but asking people also to take action in some other way. So those are the things that we are happy that we have released art and people are using it and they are working on it.
Very interesting. It's all right, Mr. Ango.
Yeah.
Let's say that your organization, by extension AACJ, was at the forefront of this campaign for climate change, on majorly on climate-friendly agro practices. Can you speak on your engagement within the year under review? I mean, if you can be able to tell us some of the activities that you carry out at community level, at different level that culminated into this success story that you are proudly boasting that you have done well.
Okay, thank you. We have done a lot of activities, just like I mentioned. And sitting here is just to summarize the highlights of what we have done.
Okay.
But before then, at the end of the project, our big dream is that people at the grassroots and everybody else should have a decent life. People should not suffer or die because of effect of climate change, because there are solutions, there are actions we need to take. Some of the activities we've done are the actions we are taking to see how people can have decent life, how they can lessen their burden on the effect of climate change. We have done a lot of capacity building, which is creating awareness for people to understand what climate change is all about. Capacity building around community development planning is an approach that is used to engage communities to be able to dialogue with duty bearers and demand for inclusion of some aspect of the state budget that will take care of climate change issues. We have also done capacity building for government officials around open government partnership. And in that capacity building, we are urging the state government to sign into open government partnership where they can get some grants that will improve service delivery, including climate change issues. And we are very happy that there was a very positive response from the government side when we had the capacity building, sometimes in October in Nasarawa Luxury Hotel. The Ministry of Finance was there, the Ministry of Agri was there. We have also done capacity building around climate change monitoring and reporting for community volunteers. We want people to be able to volunteer at the community, to be able to document what has been happening in terms of rainfall or drought or pest infestation over a period of years. How has it been happening? What are the changes that is noticeable in their communities? So we did that kind of training for them to use local knowledge to be able to do those kind of documentation. We have also done a lot of step-down training. In each of the capacity building we do at the state level, there is also another version of it that is done at community level called step-down trainings to reach out to larger communities. We have also done advocacy, engaging governments, local governments, CSOs, that look, let's come together because climate change is a multifaceted approach that needs to be taken to be able to address it. We have also been beyond the media I think, over 20 slots just in this year to be able to sensitize and create awareness for people to understand what climate change effect is, what are the causes, since climate change we know is a scientific study, and without detailed explanation, people find it difficult to believe that what we are saying is real. But thank God, from the little explanation we've been given, there are greater understanding, there are actions that are being taken, there are major decisions that farmers are taking to mitigate climate change in terms of what they will be doing next year. So basically, in a summary, this is what we're able to do, and I think maybe Mr. Joshua will be able to add.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Mr. Ango. Definitely, Mr. Joshua will have to also talk about this. While you were trying to enumerate some of the things you did, you talked about the media. We'd like to be specific this time around. Media, in what sense? The television, the radio, newspaper? What kind of specific engagement was this? Did you people engage the media? Let us know in specific terms.
Well, the media that we attended to the radio and television, the print media. We had engaged a lot of print media during our capacity building. Okay. Even the radio and the television were also engaged even during those capacity building. The essence is just to make sure people get whatever the few people who were gathered getting. Other people have a highlight of what is happening in the project entirely. Okay. Of course, we are not going over the whole state, but the few local government that were engaging. Other people who read newspaper, who also listen to radio and the television, will be able to know that this project is implemented and this is the benefit of it somehow. Okay. So the media is very, very a vital instrument for us to reach out into the larger society or larger stakeholders. So I think in the terms of engagement, the radio and television were mostly used. Okay. Because apart from the training ground where we invite some print media, they are not also engaged elaborately like we are engaging the MBS in terms of radio and television. So those are the things that we did in terms of media.
Okay. Let me just quickly add that when we are talking of media here in Nasarawa State, we are very, very grateful to Nasarawa Broadcasting Service, and particularly your program, because you have anchored this program right from day one, and we have received a lot of support. And we have brought in technocrats that are experts on climate change that we have brought, to discuss and enlighten people on the effect of climate change, be it livestock, be it environment, and every other aspect. So, and the feedback we have received from callers, even after a program like this, people follow us to the office to learn more on what we are doing. Thank God, if it was not because of MBS that is widely listened to in Nasarawa State, of course, we cannot boast that we've done, since we are not covering the whole state. Exactly. The media has helped us to cover the entire state, and we are very grateful to Nasarawa Broadcasting Service. Courtesy of you, God's power, Eddie. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for putting me in as part of your achievement. All right. Okay. In this way now, let us say the project entirety, the entirety of the project. Can you speak a little about your achievement?
Yes, it is not far from what I've said, that in terms of capacity building for community development planning, we train over 50 participants from across board. And then from our volunteers at the communities, they have gone to do step-down training to over 500 beneficiaries, just on one capacity building. When we come to climate change volunteer training or reporting and monitoring, we did the same. We trained over 50 participants across board, and then they have gone back to their respective community to train over 600 participants. So in all the major activities we've done, we ensure that there is a step down that will reach to the people at the grassroots. There are a lot of people who cannot speak English or speak Hausa. These things are translated into their various languages so that they can understand what climate. Nobody in the community does not understand at least 1 or 2 things about climate change in his own language. So these issues are discussed. We have also provided information boards where scientific data about climate change, predictions, seasonal calendars are placed in village squares where people can see and say, okay, this is what is happening. People who are not able to come here, and we count this as an achievement because when we receive feedback from them, it helps them to take decisions. And we're proud with this kind of little contribution. We're also happy that people at the grassroots have been able to share their local solutions. We don't just depend on scientific solutions that is very difficult to interpret. People have local ways of mitigating climate change. People have different ways of, getting the kind of crop to suit the kind of environment they find themselves, or the rainfall patterns that has changed. People have found different solutions at local levels. So when we bring people for our overview or review meetings, they exchange this kind of knowledge among themselves, and it's a cross-cultural learning opportunities. So interacting also with government officials, to see how our problems are tabled, how part of it can be included in the state budget, so that we'll be able to all together solve problems of climate change. And very importantly, we are happy that the State Ministry of Environment is telling us they have plans to plant 5 million trees in about 2 or 3 years. So we have informed our farmers, when these seedlings are ready, we can be co-opted to help them join in planting trees that will help the state as a mitigation strategy. So put all these kind of things together, we are happy. But it will be good also that you hear from our beneficiaries. You will have gotten the true story, because as an examiner, you cannot mark your script yourself.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Jonathan, talking about achievement, let's say uncounted number of time, you have said it, that challenges of flooding, dry spell and the rest of them has affected or did affected yield of smallholder farmers across the state in the last during the last cropping season. With this sustained campaign by AACJ on climate change activities, in your own assessment, do you think our local farmers, because they are your constituency, your immediate constituency, do you think these people have learned so much that they are in a position to avoid, if there are any, effect of climate change in the next planting season?
I think people are learning from this experience. And the reason why this project came on board is because of such eventuality that happens around us. If there are no flood, there are no dry spell, if there are no other impact of this climate change, this project wouldn't have been in place after all. Now that people have learned their lesson, even within the year, some women have demonstrated by planting trees, buying trees on their own. In some various communities that we have empowered them and tried tree capacity building, they are able to buy tree and say, we are planting this tree to help to absorb the emission. And so they demonstrated that already. It means that people now are taking action to demonstrate that we are going to buy trees and plant, replacing. It means they have listened to what we have said, and they are also, that is an achievement on our own side. Now we talked about whether the campaign will be sustained or not. Already people have been heated so much in terms of the flooding. Particularly the flooding have made a lot of people, like we said in Nigeria, about over 6,000 people lost their houses. I mean death itself, not houses. About 1.3 million houses have been destroyed. So you can see the impact in the country. Now, if we will not take action, for people who are giving warning signal that, look, you are in a floodplain area, you're supposed to leave that place about so time. And those who remain, you can see the impact on them more than people who were vacated at before the flood came in. So at least for what we are doing, the campaign will be sustained. People who have seen this year will be able to tell others next year, these people are predicting, let's follow them. and so that you don't get involved in this hazard that is coming around us.
Okay.
You know, it's not only us now that's going to do the campaign. People who are the grassroots, who have experienced this impact, are also going to help us to campaign. Exactly. So the campaign is going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Sorry, let me, before I forget, because I know you are going to ask the next question.
It's all right.
Before I forget, I want to also appreciate Nasarawa State Emergency Management Agency,
right.
NASEMA, and NIMET from Abuja. We organized an information sharing session at Fort Ashi Hotel sometimes last month, and the DG NASEMA, Barrister ZZ Alumaga, he shared a lot of information on what NASEMA is doing in Nasarawa State to support issues around climate change. In fact, he told us how the state government has provided speedy boats to local governments that are living around riverine areas. He told us how some flood installation, detection installation machines have been installed that will help people, to alert people on, eventual flood that will come. He also shared with us how the state government has responded in terms of relief materials to support. And he also told us how our farmers can participate anytime they have this kind of challenges, that they can get themselves registered at local government levels for this kind of information to reach out to them. So we are using this opportunity also to call on other relevant government agencies that they can support, the mitigation strategy by way of providing improved seeds, providing, good breeds of animals, local breeds that can thrive with the harsh weather we're passing through, so that farmers don't wait to use the old varieties that will take 3 to 4 months to mature. We are in a scientific era and things have changed, and we need to move scientifically to be able to catch up. So we want the state government to support research institutions, to support Nasarawa State University, to support College of Agri, to be able to do a lot of research that will benefit the people of Nasarawa State. And I think they have the capacity. We are calling them to do more and to also support increased budget of Ministry of Environment so that more farmers can be enlightened about climate change activities.
Exactly. All right. Your submission just reminded me of the next question, and talking about the challenges that you people might have encountered in the course of implementing this project in the last this last 1 year. So what are those issues that are kind of giving you some headache and you might want an improvement from whichever quarter?
Yeah, I think we have, no matter how successful a project is, it is the challenges that will help you to know whether you are moving forward or not. So for a start, we started very late this year, and part of the reason was squarely due to late release of funds we were supposed to use to create awareness for farmers to be able to take quick decisions as to early warning systems. So that was a challenge. Some of the information we were giving them were already late.
Okay.
But we hope that will not happen for those of us that will be alive next year. And then we also had some challenges around advocacy. Advocacy is something that you need to prepare for it. You need to be patient enough. You submit letters to visit or to provide information to government agencies. There are a lot of protocols that you have to follow. And sometimes you spend resources to go to pass one information. You have to go there 2 or 3 times, or you have to wait for several hours to get your discussions passed through within 30 minutes. So all these put together are challenges. We also have challenges from our communities. Everybody is struggling, to meet up during during farming seasons. Sometimes we invite them for a training at the time when they have suffered lack of rain for a week or 2. Incidentally, we put a training and there is rain. You discover they may not want to even come.
Exactly.
Because for them to come and sit for 1 day or 2 days, receive capacity building, comparing it to what they will have done in their own farm, they feel it is more valuable to remain in the farm. And I quite agree with them. And sometimes we organize events and we invite some government officials. Some of them will not even turn up like the last one we had at Nasarawa Luxury Hotel, we didn't pay the accommodation, received acknowledgement letters, but some didn't come, and that was a big loss to us. From the little resources we were sourcing, then it was a loss. So put together, these are some of the challenges but it's normal. Yeah. These are normal. We work towards how to improve those kind of challenges next year.
Okay, Mr. Jonathan, I know you may want to say one or two things too about the challenges and challenges.
Yeah, one of the challenges is that, we're building capacity. And as we're building capacity, people want to use us as even a tool to reach out to other team needs of their own. Sometimes the improved seed, we're telling people that, look, there are climate smart seeds or input, which we could use to mitigate some of the things you are facing. Some of them, they will have an improved flood-prone variety. Exactly. You have drought-tolerant varieties. And sometimes when farmers come to ask of them, they will not be available for farmers to get. So like I will say, we need the state government to do something in terms of requesting the setting up even of some of these research institutes to be based in Nasarawa State. All right. That will help us to reach out to more development research kind of a team. Instead of doing the on-farm research, they can do on-farm research, where we can get our needed environment acquainted to it, and those the discovery they will be doing will be relevant to us in the state. So I think when we have such things like ADP, they should be also empowered. NADP has been a farmers-friendly organization where they need to provide this input. But sometimes you get there, they are also handicapped because of limited resources that are coming. In those days, they used to provide this input, fertilizer, everything, because they are only a kind of the aspect of extension aspect of the services to the farmers. Of course. They are the mandatory organ that are giving extension delivery system from the state. So they should be building up this input attachment to their service delivery. Okay. I think this will help us.
That's all right. Thank you so much. Viewer, in case you're just joining us, the program is Issues of the Moment, and I've been having a robust conversation here with Mr. Ango Adamu, the Executive Secretary, YMCA, and State Coordinator of African Activists for Climate Justice, and also Mr. Jonathan Joshua, the National President of Association of Small-Scale Farmers, and who is also one of the state coordinators of the project. We'll take a short break, after which we'll resume and continue with our conversation. We'll be right back. All right, you're welcome back, and the program is Issues of the Moment. We will now continue with our conversation with my guest in the studio. Once again, gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, in the last half of the program, we discussed quite a number of issues, talking about your achievement, talking about the challenges, talking about the entire review of the project. Now we want to look at projecting for the future. We, in a matter of a few days from now, will be heading into 2023, and that will be entirely new year altogether. So, what are those projections? What are your work plan for next year? Let's begin with Mr. Ango.
Well, I'm particularly happy that this project is being implemented in Nasarawa State. I remember during the inception meeting in Lagos, when states were being considered whether or not to implement this project, I was the only one there. So a lot of people wanted to bypass Nasarawa State. Because I'm from here, and I said we have relative peace in Nasarawa State. Our state government is prone to security. They respond, and so this project must be implemented in Nasarawa State. You see, these are the same reasons that were used to knock out Plateau State. Okay. So we are happy that because of this kind of messages and because of the performance of our state, other civil society organizations from Abuja are even joining us to implement AACJ project in different aspects in the state. Okay. So I'm happy to inform our viewers that even our work plan for 2023 and budget, because of what we have done this year, has been approved already by our donor.
Okay.
So next year, by God's grace, we want to move out to other areas. We want to do more awareness creation around schools.
Okay.
We're buying one idea that the Ministry of Women Affairs want to, climate change to be included in curriculum.
Okay.
So I want to follow schools, to help us dramatize climate change issues.
Okay.
We'll be having town hall meetings at the various senatorial zones of the state, to make sure that this idea goes down to those areas we've not been able to reach. And we also intend to have more media coverage. We want to include more media houses that will help us, broadcast these messages across the state. And we're also going to repeat some of the capacity building that we did here in other locations that we were not able to. So we're not going to do anything too different, but I still want to go slowly because it's a 5-year project. We are just into the 2nd year. So we are going gradually to ensure that people actually understand what climate change is, what causes climate change, what is our contribution to climate change, what is Nigeria or Africa contribution to climate change. But it will interest you to know that Africa as a continent is not contributing more than 3% to global effect of climate change. The people causing this havoc are over there in Europe, Asia, and Americans, because they have gigantic multilateral factories and machines that are producing industry. Yes. But we are suffering the effect because we are living in a globe. We are in a tropical world. So we are suffering, and they have mitigation strategies far better than what we can do. And that is why we are crying and say each time they go for this conference of parties, this year it was held in Egypt, COP27.
Exactly.
And so we are hoping that these big nations will be able to support African countries to mitigate climate change so that our farmers can live decent life, our rural people can live decent life just like any other person.
All right, Mr. Jonathan, if you listen to Ango, he's talking about shifting the base of the campaign to mostly schools. What plans do you have for the farmers? Because mostly the effect is on the farmers. What plans do you have for farmers in 2023?
Well, farmers are not going to be left out. The shifting of the campaign to school is also to help the farmers, because if your word is in the school and is getting this knowledge, when he comes back home and share with you, you take it more quicker. So sometimes our aged people learn very difficult. The learning is becoming difficult for them. So we want to use the school to dramatize and also to come back home and share with their parents what the effect is and how it is also impacting in their food. Now, it's not just that. It's not even enough to produce food enough. You can produce food to even the capacity that every variety you are planting can give you. But then what happened to the food? Look at our storage system. We must change the method of our storage, because if we have a small heat around, everything is being spoiled. So we are going to also enlighten the people on how to keep their food, even after production. They should be able to safeguard it, to keep it in a safe way that food can be useful in another time. So those are the things that we are going to help the farmer. And like we say, we will continue to speak at that people in the community should demand for their rights. It's not just enough to say, okay, it has happened, that's all. No. Like what has happened, now what is the government doing concerning the flooding environment? People should be speaking out. And the target of this project is to make people to speak out, to demand their rights so that they can live a decent life. Like any other person has the right to live.
Exactly.
So we are also going to work towards the right to food. People should have the right to food. Not just living because they don't have the capacity to produce food and then they should not be eating food. Every citizen has the right to food. So government should be able to request, for other areas, make the implementation of climate change a mandatory thing, because it's a global issue now.
Exactly.
It's something that we need to talk about it, we need to speak about it, and nobody should be hiding again and say, look, this thing is a natural thing. No, it's no longer that. We are causing it,